Hi everyone. So now we will learn about what is pseudocode and why we are going to use pseudocode to describe an algorithm or program, right? So pseudocode is human readable code. It's written basically in English. So it's not the code one can execute, but it looks very similar to the code, right? So it's language independent. So it's a human readable description of the algorithm or the program that you're going to write. And the good thing is you can convert any flowchart into pseudocode, right? So what ideally we will do, we will think of the flow, we will write the pseudocode, and once you have the pseudocode, you can write it in any programming language, right? So it's a way to verify your code, it's a way to verify your logic, and you can also structure your code before you start writing it, right? So it's very powerful, it's language independent, which means uh, if you know the pseudocode, then it can be implemented in any language, right? And let's also learn about the pseudocode language, right? So in the flowchart we had seen certain statements like readn. So instead of saying readn, you can say okay, uh, okay, so instead of taking input, you will say okay, we will read a number n, right? Then there is a assignment statement, right? So remember, we were updating our flowchart with the processing box where we were saying okay, simple interest equals to PRT by 100. So this equal to is nothing but the assignment. So either you can use this equal to or you can use this arrow, right? So both are basically same, right? So both stand for the assignment. Then if you want to output something that is exactly same, we will just write in English, print the variable, right? Print sum, print hello world, print something, right? And then you have if else, right? So in pseudocode, you will have a decision box which will be written in the form of a if else format. So you will say okay, if your number I is greater than 5, you will do something, okay, then you will do something like this, some instructions, else you will say okay, execute these instructions, and finally you will have a end statement which denotes that your if else block has ended, right? So if this statement is true, then execute these instructions. If this statement is false, then execute these instructions, right? So this is basically an expression that is going to get evaluated, okay? So let's say I is some variable, right? I is a variable, and you can check if I is greater than 5. Let's say I is 3. Then you will execute these particular set of instructions. And finally, this end denotes that your if else block has ended, right? Okay. So this is how you write a decision box in the form of a pseudocode, right? And then you have a loop, right? So we have seen how do we simulate a loop inside the flow chart, but in programming language and in pseudocode, you have a specific syntax, right? For example, you want to repeat a work 10 times, and you can say okay, I want to walk 10 steps. You can say okay, I have steps equal to 1 while steps is less than equal to 10. I will say okay, then do some work. What work to do? You say okay, walk one step, and you increment your step by 1, step equal to step plus 1, right? And finally you will say okay, and end the loop, right? Okay. So this part is executed again and again. So this is a part of the loop, right? Like in the flowchart we have seen, you have three things. You have initial condition, this is where it is. You have a stopping criteria, so here you have a stopping criteria, and anything that is inside the loop is repeated that many times, this loop will work, right? So this loop will start from 1 and it will stop when the value of step is not equal to or greater than 10, right? Okay, so it will say walk one step, step equal to step plus 1, and this will go inside a continuous loop. So this is how you write a loop, and this is finally your update condition, and this is the work you want to do inside the loop, right? So every loop will have three components: an initial condition, a stopping criteria, and an update condition, right? And finally, once your program is over, you can use a exit statement to denote my code has ended, right? So this is about the pseudocode language, and in the next video we will see one prime number example which will make the concepts more clear.